Writer JT Sports back to you guys with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 10 best wide receiver corps going into the 2019 NFL season. Now, before I begin, I got two things. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. I upload NFL videos and NFL content daily. And also, I didn't list these teams in order really. So the number one team isn't really the team that I think has the best receiving core, or the number six team isn't the team who I think has the sixth best wide receiving core. I just listed these teams in random order really. So don't really pay attention to the ranking. I'm not ranking or saying any team's better than the other. I just put 10 teams, the 10 best teams who I felt had the best wide receiving cores in 2019. So really, you should just focus on the teams instead of rankings, because I didn't really rank these teams in order by who had the better receiving core. So at number 10, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers receiving core is made out of talented wideouts Mike Evans, who is coming off his best NFL season as a pro, had 1,524 receiving yards, 86 receptions, and caught 8 touchdown passes in 2018, alongside of rising wide receiver Chris Godwin, who is on set to have a big breakout season in 2019 after having a solid 2018 NFL season with 842 receiving yards, 59 receptions, and 7 touchdowns going into his second NFL season. That was his second NFL season. Now he's going into his third NFL season. Now, even though the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost Adam Humphries in free agency, he signed the Tennessee Titans. This is still a very good receiving core. At number 9, I had the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, although the Philadelphia Eagles wide receiving core doesn't necessarily excite me, they have a very solid group of wide receivers with Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, and also the return of Deshaun Jackson, who is still one of the best deep threats in the NFL despite his age, and also J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who they drafted in this year's NFL draft out of Stanford. He's a big body wide receiver who should have a solid impact for the Philadelphia Eagles receiving core, which is a solid group this year, and I think they're going to be very, very good. At number 8, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, while AJ Green is the first wide receiver that comes to mind when you think about and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, while AJ Green was dealing with injuries last season, wide receiver Tyler Boyd really stepped up last year. He had a breakout season, hauling in 76 receptions, 7 touchdowns, and also had 1,028 receiving yards. Now, Cincinnati Bengals could be much better if they could find a reliable third option, or if John Ross could actually step up and live up to the expectations of his first round status. But the Cincinnati Bengals receiving core overall, AJ Boyd and Tyler Boyd, should be a very good duo this season. And I think both of these guys could end up making it to the Pro Bowl. We already know of a fully healthy AJ Green is making it to the Pro Bowl, and maybe Tyler Boyd could make the Pro Bowl if he keeps up the production. I thought he should have made it to the Pro Bowl last year, and if we had the NFL Most Improved Player award, it would be probably between George Kittle and Tyler Boyd, because both of those guys had very good seasons, and Tyler Boyd was very good last year, stepping up for AJ Green. At number 7, I have New Orleans Saints. Now, they're led by all-pro wideout Michael Thomas. The Saints wide receiving core is more talented than just him. Ted Ginn is a good deep threat when he's able to stay healthy. And also wide receiver Traquan Smith, who showed flashes of potential and what should be a very productive 2019 season. His rookie season wasn't that bad. Had some flashes, but he was mainly just inconsistent, and he didn't really get a lot of targets that much. Now, a big reason why the New Orleans Saints group is on this list is because Michael Thomas. Now, Michael Thomas was an All-Pro selection, had over 1,400 receiving yards, had 125 receptions, and 9 touchdown passes that he caught. Probably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, top 5 at his position. That's no argument, no debate there. And he should keep up what has been a very productive career up to this point, and I'm expecting him to have another fantastic season. And also Traquan Smith, I have a lot of expectations for him. I think he's going to have a very good season. They also have Cam Meredith, who didn't really play that much last season. He was battling an injury. He's also another guy to look out for. So the New Orleans Saints have a very solid wide receiving core led by Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, and Cam Meredith. Those guys should look to have very good seasons in 2019. At number 6, I have the Oakland Raiders. Now, the Oakland Raiders acquisition of Antonio Brown, they traded for him in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He improved the wide receiving core tremendously. Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion, and he should have been an All Pro last year. The reason why he wasn't voted as an All Pro was because one of the voters said that they didn't want him to be on the list because of his off the field antics and whatnot, but he should have been an All Pro despite that. Football is football. Football is a game that's played on the gridiron. What you do off the gridiron shouldn't affect you being on the All Pro list and stuff like that. So he's going to improve that Oakland Raiders wide receiving core. And also, they signed Tyrell Williams in free agency, who was the solid number 2 option for the LA Chargers on the opposite side of Keenan Allen. They also have some guys like JJ Nelson and Hunter Renfro, who should also make some solid contributions as well. At number 5 has the Houston Texans. Now, the Houston Texans have a very, very talented group of wide receivers. Other than DeAndre Hopkins, the big problem with them is that they can't stay healthy. But when healthy, the Houston Texans have one of the best receiving cores in the NFL with all pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who has probably the best hands in all of football. Top 3 wide receiver in the game. Will Fuller has proven to be a very good wide receiver when healthy, a big play wide receiver. He's a threat to take it all the way to the house every time he touches the ball. And also Kiki QT, who had a very good rookie season, but it went a little bit downhill once he started getting injured and stuff like that. And when he came back, he wasn't the same player that he was before he got injured. Kind of lost rhythm and stuff like that. So the Houston Texans wide receiving core overall is very, very solid if they're able to stay healthy. Number 4, I had the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams receiving core is loaded. Both Robert Woods and Brendan Cooks had over 1,200 receiving yards last season. You also throw back talented wide receiver Cooper Kupp back into the mix after suffering a season-ending injury last season. Also, Josh Reynolds, who is solid as well. A lot of guys who can contribute. It's going to be interesting to see which wide receiver takes a big drop in production with the re-emergence of Cooper Kupp back into that offense. If I had to take a bet, it would probably be Robert Woods. Robert Woods is a talented wide receiver, but his targets are going to go down. His targets went up because they didn't have Cooper Kupp, but he's still going to have a pretty solid season. It's just that a lot of these wide receivers' targets are going to go down with the addition of Cooper Kupp, who is mainly Jared Goff's number 1 receiver, but a very talented group of wide receivers that the Los Angeles Rams have. At number 3, I had the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are 2 of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. Adam Thielen had 1,273 receiving yards last season, along with 113 receptions and 9 touchdown passes that he caught. Stephon Diggs at his career high in receiving yards with 1,021. Also 102 receptions and 9 touchdown passes that he caught. All they need now is a good wide receiver option at that number 3 wide receiver position because Laquan Treadwell, he's basically a bust at this point. And if they're able to do that, this Minnesota Vikings receiving core is going to be very, very hard to stop. And it could be the number 1 wide receiving core in the NFL if they were just able to find a number 3 option. At number 2, I have the Atlanta Falcons. Julio Jones, arguably the best receiver in the NFL. Calvin Ridley, who is the best rookie wide receiver from last year. And Mohamed Sanu, who is still one of the best slot receivers in the game. The Atlanta Falcons wide receiving core is stacked. I mean, let's talk about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was lighting the NFL up on fire the first when he started getting into the flow of things, started finding ways to get the ball in the Atlanta Falcons offense. The best wide receiver from last year's draft class had the best season last year. And also Julio Jones, he had a very good season. Despite the first 10 weeks he went without a touchdown, he couldn't find a way to get the ball across the goal line. So after week 10, this is when he started exploding. He had 8 touchdowns after week 10. So Julio Jones, you can make the debate. I know I said Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in football, but you can make the argument that Julio Jones is the best receiver in football as well. Both talented guys. At number 1, I had the Cleveland Browns. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are the most talented wide receivers duo in the NFL. No debate there. Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. You can't name a better, higher profile tandem than those two. Very talented guys. Even though Odell Beckham is the guy who's going to make things happen with the ball in his hands, he can do everything. Jarvis Landry, he's a guy, he can make plays, but he doesn't have the speed and, big play ability that Odell Beckham has. Then you throw in and talent Antonio Callaway, who showed signs of potential last season, his rookie year, but struggled with consistency. The Cleveland Browns might have the best receiving core in all of the NFL. So let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comment section down below. Which teams do you feel should have been on this list? Which teams can be replaced? Like I said earlier on in the video, I didn't really do this list in the order. I just went ahead and listed 10 teams in random order who I felt had the best receiving core. So let me know which team was left out on this list, which team should be replaced. And make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.